When we were younger, a scraped knee or a burn from the stove seemed like nothing at all. We would wipe it quickly, maybe laugh it off, and move on with our day. But as time passes and our bodies change, those small accidents begin to carry more weight. A simple bruise can linger longer, a little cut may heal slower, and sometimes even the tiniest bump can remind us of how delicate our skin and balance have become. That doesn't mean you are fragile or that you're doing anything wrong. It simply means your body now speaks in a different language, one that asks for gentler care, a little more patience, and a touch more wisdom. It's not easy to accept that the resilience we once took for granted has shifted. Many people feel a quiet resistance inside, almost as if acknowledging the need for extra care is admitting weakness. But the truth is, wisdom lies in embracing what is, not in clinging to what used to be. A first aid kit sitting quietly in your room isn't a symbol of fear or decline. It's a symbol of love for yourself. It says, I value my safety, my comfort, and my dignity enough to prepare. There's something deeply peaceful in that, don't you think? Think of it as you would a warm blanket folded at the end of your bed. You may not need it every night, but when the chill arrives, its presence is reassuring. A first aid kit is the same. It doesn't shout, it doesn't accuse, it simply waits, ready to serve when life brings one of those little surprises. And let's be honest, life at every age has its surprises. Some pleasant, like an unexpected visit or a beautiful sunrise, and others less so, like a dizzy spell or a stumble on the way to the kitchen. No one plans for the unpleasant ones, yet being gently prepared makes them less frightening, less heavy on the heart. I invite you to pause for a moment and reflect. Do you already have a small collection of bandages, antiseptic, or other supplies in your living space? If yes, where do you keep them? And more importantly, are they close enough to reach in a moment when your body might not feel steady or strong? Sometimes even thinking about this can spark a small but important shift in how we care for ourselves. Tell me in the comments, where do you keep your first aid kit? Is it in your bedroom, your living room, or maybe tucked away in the bathroom? I'd love to hear, because where you place it often says something about where you feel the most safe, and sharing that wisdom can gently guide others too. Margaret, 72, once told me a story that stayed with me. She had always kept her small box of medical supplies in the bathroom closet, tucked away neatly on the top shelf. It felt logical, after all, isn't that where such things usually belong? One evening, while moving from her chair to the kitchen, she lost her balance and fell. It wasn't a serious fall, but she scraped her arm against the edge of a table. When she reached for what she needed, the realization struck her. The kit was in another room, 2 doors away, behind a cupboard she could barely reach even on her best days. She laughed when telling me later, but I could hear the sadness beneath her words. It wasn't the scrape that hurt her most, it was the reminder that in a single moment, something as simple as distance could make her feel helpless. After that day, Margaret placed her kit in the drawer beside her bed. She told me she didn't necessarily expect to use it often, but just knowing it was close gave her a calm she hadn't felt before. It became a silent comfort, the way a night lamp is for some people, not always needed, but reassuring when the room feels too dark. There's wisdom in her choice, and perhaps it's something for you to consider too. Where does your kit live right now? And more importantly, where would you feel safest keeping it? A first aid kit hidden in a closet is like an umbrella in the attic. You own it, yes, but can you actually reach it when the storm comes? Maybe the most helpful place is your bedside table, where your hand can find it without effort. Or perhaps a small corner of your living room shelf, near the chair you use most. The point is not just having it, but allowing it to be visible, accessible, and close enough to touch without struggle. You may even wish to choose a clear box so you can see what's inside at a glance, or label it with bold, simple words. These little steps may seem small, but they are acts of kindness toward yourself. It's not about admitting that something bad might happen, it's about quietly affirming that if life throws a challenge your way, you are already prepared. Sometimes preparation is the deepest form of peace.
And if you found comfort in these gentle reminders, I invite you to subscribe. I'll be sharing more reflections and practical guidance to help you feel both safe and empowered, one small step at a time. Because just like Margaret discovered, the tiniest change in where we place our care can bring a surprising amount of calm into our days. As we get older, our bodies quietly begin to follow new rules. Skin that once healed quickly now takes its time, and what used to be a small inconvenience, a paper cut, a bruise, a nick from the kitchen knife, can feel like a bigger event. Medications such as blood thinners, which many people take for the heart, mean that even the smallest scratch can bleed longer than expected. The skin itself grows thinner, more delicate, like fine paper that requires gentle handling. None of this means you are weaker or less capable. It simply means your body is asking you to meet it where it is now, not where it once was. That is why the contents of your first aid kit matter more than ever. It isn't enough to tuck a few Band-Aids in a box and call it a day. Older skin often needs dressings that don't stick, bandages that breathe, antiseptic wipes that are soothing rather than harsh.
A roll of sterile gauze, soft medical tape, and even a small pair of scissors designed to cut gently can turn a moment of panic into one of calm. And while a simple adhesive strip might still have its place, it is not always the safest or kindest choice for skin that bruises and tears more easily. There's a common belief that a Band-Aid fixes everything. It worked well enough when we were younger, but now, with slower healing and more sensitivity, we need to look a little deeper. Imagine how comforting it feels to know that, should a scrape happen, you can treat it without worrying about hurting yourself further while removing the bandage later. That's the difference a well-stocked kit makes. It changes the story from stress to reassurance. A thermometer may not seem like much, but when a sudden fever comes, it can give you clarity instead of uncertainty. A small supply of your personal medications stored safely ensures that even if you feel unsteady, you won't have to search for what you need. These little details add up, and they whisper to you, you are cared for, you are safe. So perhaps it's worth asking yourself gently, what is inside your kit right now? Is it just a few scattered items, or is it a thoughtful collection that truly meets your body's needs today? Remember, this isn't about preparing for disaster. It's about honoring your present self with the right tools, the same way you once honored your younger self, with energy, adventure, and curiosity. Having the right supplies within reach is simply a new form of self-respect. And when you look at your kit and see those soft bandages, the antiseptic wipes, the gauze and tape, let them remind you not of worry, but of wisdom. The wisdom to adapt, to listen, and to care for yourself as lovingly as you once cared for others. Doing this ahead of time ensures that when you truly need it, you won't be fumbling with unfamiliar packaging or feeling unsure of your movements. Then, every few months, take a moment to check expiration dates. Items like antiseptic wipes or creams don't last forever, and replacing them is an act of quiet responsibility toward your future self. You might even set a small reminder for yourself, something as simple as a note on your calendar that says, "Refresh the kit." This way, you won't be caught off guard when you need something most. And remember, you don't have to carry this alone. Involve someone you trust. Show a family member or a close friend where your kit is. Walk them through what's inside. It's not a sign of dependence, but of care, an invitation for them to help you feel safer. When they know, you feel lighter, because you no longer bear the burden of remembering every detail on your own. Sometimes people hesitate to do these little rehearsals, fearing it will make them anxious, as though they're waiting for something bad to happen. But practicing with your kit isn't about expecting harm, it's about choosing peace. When your hands know what to do, your heart doesn't have to panic. And that is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself at this stage of life. The gift of confidence, of knowing that even if the unexpected comes, you already have the calm and the tools to face it. There's a thought that often lingers quietly in the background. If I prepare for something, does it mean I'm expecting the worst? Many people carry this feeling, almost as if a first aid kit in plain sight is a reminder of fragility rather than strength. But let's turn that belief gently around. Preparation has never been about fear. It has always been about freedom. Think of the seatbelt in your car. You don't fasten it because you expect an accident every time you drive.
You fasten it because it allows you to travel with ease, knowing you've taken a small, wise precaution. A first aid kit works the same way. Having it close by isn't admitting weakness, it's an act of empowerment, a way of telling yourself, I choose to live with less worry. Some may resist, believing that if they never think of emergencies, they will never happen. But life has already taught us that surprises, both joyful and difficult, come whether we plan for them or not. Isn't it kinder then to meet those moments with tools and calm instead of with panic? Preparation doesn't diminish joy. In fact, it protects it. It gives you the chance to spend less time worrying and more time enjoying the warmth of your days. You've already lived through enough seasons to know that control was never about stopping time. It has always been about moving with time, adapting to its rhythm, carrying wisdom instead of resistance. A first aid kit is a quiet companion on that journey, never demanding attention, simply resting there, offering peace of mind when you need it most.
If you don't have one yet, maybe today is the day to take that gentle step. And if you already do, perhaps you can look at it with fresh eyes, not as a box of supplies, but as a little symbol of self-respect, a reminder that you still deserve safety, comfort, and ease. Tell me, what about your kit brings you the most reassurance? Is it the simple bandage, the soothing wipe, or perhaps the thermometer that tells you what your body cannot put into words? Share it in the comments. I would love to hear, because your wisdom may guide someone else who is just beginning this journey. And if these reflections have spoken to you, I warmly invite you to subscribe. Together, we can keep walking this path of gentleness and care, learning not how to fear aging, but how to embrace it with the dignity and grace it has always deserved.